Welcome to HDPP Live on a Saturday night to the UK and around the world with photos, memories and friends. This is HDPP Live. How are you this evening? Are you all well?
Hinckley District has the present for you, meeting friends old and new. Streaming Wednesdays and Saturdays too, with founder members Paul and Sue. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where local memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Film clips, photos, memories and friends helps a dreary night go by. Wearing Hinckley's 6 of the best, stupendous quizzical high. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where local memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Let's take you back in time. A community affair. We'll take you for a ride. Henson's Cab will take you there. We're making history. HDPP, chatroom pauses. History supporting local causes. Streaming HDPP live. Betty is our queen bee. The sweetest honey candy. Dangerous Den, here again. HDPP live. Hey, you know we keep it in HDPP.
There they go again, and here we come again. Good evening. Hello, Kiwi. Hello, welcome along, HDPP Live. I know, aren't you all excited? Haven't you got better things to do on a Sunday night? You soon will have our penultimate last live stream before the summer recess. Well, if the politicians could take 3 months off, I can. No, let's not get political now. No, seriously. Yes, it's we've got a couple more to go yet. So we're not next week. It's the week after. So this is the penultimate last live stream of the season. Will return in September. But listen, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. How are you? Have you been enjoying the weather? The weather has been absolutely superb. I must be honest, absolutely superb. Fantastic at last. And did you see the Northern Lights? Missed them. Can't believe that. Why didn't I not get out of bed? And the problem is our windows face east-west. And of course, it all happens on a northerly direction. So by looking out the window, you don't get it. And I really wish now that I'd have just gone out instead, because I would have seen them. Although I think I may have seen a little bit of them, but I don't know. I've never been quite so lucky. My son lives on the south coast. The south coast, I'll have you know. And he said, "Dad, look what I've shown. Look what I videoed last night." Wow, fantastic. Anyway, that's me. Typical look of nothing is me, basically. So, tonight's programme, all the regular features, including a nosy and including 6 of the best. What are you going to do on your Sunday evenings is what we're asking. What will you be doing for the next 3 months? You know, when we finally close this at the end of May, what will you be doing? Writing stories? I know somebody who's doing a book. The producer just said in my ear, yeah, writing a book. Yeah, absolutely. But first, let me, as always, oh, look, I'm clicking things now and I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, look, you can't you just see that? Right, let me just scroll up the list and say good evening to Anne Hunt. She was here first, and Annabelle came in with a cooey. So the Anns are in. Absolutely. This evening, Dave B., who is out sunning himself on the deck of his boat. David, what are you doing? Welcome to the program. Yeah, summer's been definitely here, and let's hope it's going to hang around a bit as well. Steve's here. Good. Hello, Grandad. Hope you're recovering well. You deserve a good break, my friend. You really, really do. David Starnborough. The Starnboroughs are here as always, which is nice. Russett's in. Oh, hello, Russet. All the way up the Watling Street. My word, indeed. That's so they do. Jeff is in Brigg. And Anna is in Hinckley tonight, so they'll be working on text messages to each other in 6 of the best as well. Kit's in, Mrs. Poldark's here as well. I have to wonder if Mrs. Poldark, because she always comes in and says hello, then I wonder if she goes and nods off. I don't know. But still, Kit, great you're here. Great you're here, honestly. Stick around, we've got some good stuff tonight. David S. is in the room. Somebody else just up the Watling Street as well. Hope you're going to enjoy tonight's programme as well. David S. says, it's raining here. Do you know, it might do that. I thought earlier on it looked a little bit, you know, when you look outside and you think, what's that up to now? Yeah, so I could believe you, actually, David S. Definitely. Daniel Coburn's here. He said it's Dangerous Den in tonight. I might need some help with the quiz. Don't worry. I'm sure Dangerous Den will be here somewhere along the line. Queen Bee is here as well. Nice to then. Glad we sorted your pump out this morning, Mrs. Go, grief. It's the bane. It really is. But we got it. We sorted it out. We really, really do. And Jeff Wallace got a message from me. Excuse me. This is very confidential. Box 2 is coming on well. I have a busy week. Doubt I'll finish it before you see Saturday. It's all right, matey. Take all the time you need. Hurry up. Alan Crops here. Good. I'm always glad when the crops come in. I really am, because I always feel like I've really got to hold things back until the crops are here. So there we go. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. C. Nice to know that you're there as well. Oh, hey up, look. Not only does Dangerous Den come in, Kath Denny's here. Can you remember the smugglers? Yeah, they've been off jetting all around now. Kath, you've only just come in, but this is the penultimate last live stream before we have a summer break, okay? And I've been asking people what they will be doing on a Sunday night, what they'll be doing on a Sunday night during the summer months, then when we come back in September. And I said, my producer says, I know somebody who's writing a book. There, Sunday night's book time. Kath, get his nose stuck in it, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to start posting pictures. Right. Yeah, and she said John missed the... he also missed the Northern Lights as well. Anyway, there we go. Good. Lovely. Russet said it is raining up this part of the A5. My patio is wet. And Jan Kirby's here. Yes, Jan, we know you've been away and stuff, and we're glad that you're back. Okay, that's all the welcomes and greetings done. Time for 6 of the best, because in tonight's programme, as I say, we've got a noser, we've got some of those classic public information films, and then if we've got time, might have a little 20-minute local drama. Ooh, yeah, absolutely. So we'll put, if time permits, and I'll have to play it by ear as we go along. So first of all, 6 of the best. Now, just a minute. This is the bit where I have to tell Dangerous Den. Dangerous Den, we're going to give you the questions now. Now, keep your hands off that keyboard. I know what he's like. Right. Because I know what he has to go for it. Yeah, for Dangerous Den. Lovely. Here we go. 6 of the best. Remember, do not put your answers in the chat room, because people will nick them, misses. They will then pass it off all as their own. Yeah. Oh, I've just seen little Jane's come into the... Oh, hello. Little Jane, glad you're doing okay, Jane. That's brilliant. Lovely. Okie dokie. Now then, Kath Denny says, we're sitting in the garden, especially if the sun's out. Well, lovely. Let's do 6 of the best this evening. here we go. A couple of recycled questions, but otherwise, generally speaking, we've got quite a nice little lineup tonight. So my first question, and if you've been paying attention to our live streams over time and information we post on our Facebook group, the answers are all there. It depends how much attention you were paying in the first place. So, in the 1950s, early 60s, how many hosiery factories were there in town? 104, 96 or 89, or 3 and 6 a pound? So that is question one. One of them is the correct answer. In the 1950s and early 60s, how many hosiery factories were there in the town? 104, 96, 89. It almost sounds like scores on a dartboard, doesn't it? Good evening to Pat Galloway, who's just come in as well. Yeah. Nice one, Pat. Right, we'll move on. So that is question one. Coming on to question two now. Your general knowledge question, which fruit is the most popular and consumed worldwide? Now, I tested Mrs. G with this, and she was a little confused to start with, but then the penny dropped, I should say, yeah. So, because I always tested my Mrs. G, and I always know, because sometimes she'll interpret it different to the way I do my questions. She said, well, that could mean blah. Anyway, which fruit is the most popular and consumed worldwide? What fruit is most popular and consumed worldwide, where it's sort of all over? It's all over. Yes, absolutely. That is your question number two. Question number three, find the words. I will be putting this back on the screen again when we come round again. But this is a comedy film. A comedy film. And Mrs. G got it, and I thought, I don't know why I bother. But she got it pretty well straight away. So if you fill in the gaps to those letters there, you will find a well-known comedy film. It's a good film, and I never get fed up of watching it. So that is quite easy. Even now, I've just felt a smug wave. There. Yeah. Okay, then moving on. Guess the theme tune now. Get ready. Our theme tune this week is... So, here we go. What is this? The classic theme to... was a very, very popular TV series which launched the career, really, of an actor that's still going very strong today. He's done lots of things, but this was what really brought him into the public eye, and he's been revered ever since, yeah. I told you John Denny would get the film, yeah. So, there you go. What is the theme? Typically 80s, isn't it? Absolutely. Right, okay, stop that. Moving on to question number 5. Okay, can you please name those two gentlemen on the screen, please? Now, do not put your answer. Into that chat box. Please don't, because people will nickel. Right. There's two gentlemen on the screen. What's their names? Mrs. G knows the person on the right, but can't get the name. It's doing her head in, you know. Yeah. There you go. Two gentlemen who were on our screens through the 60s, the 70s. Just who are they, please? That's what I want. And now, Mrs. G's just grabbed her board. That means she's got a little whiteboard and she flashes at me when I'm doing this. Don't flash now, missus, I'm live. Anagram question. Here we go. Airdrops blindfolded and traced. Didn't know I was going to do that, you nutcase. Airdrops blindfold traced. If you rearrange that in the anagram, this will give you a local nature attraction and the village it is there for art. Okay? Wonderful. So, airdrops blindfold traced. It's a local nature attraction and the village it is at. There we go. Right, so we'll go through these questions one more time so you can get them all again. And already some people get it. I mean, Mr. Smugly said, I've got the... Yeah, she's got it. She's finally clicked. She weren't clicking at all last night, Mrs. G wasn't. Not at all. Okay, then. So, question number 1. In the 1950s and early 60s, how many hosiery factories were there in the town? 104, 96 or 89? Question number 2, which fruit is the most popular consumed worldwide? Okay. I nearly said something there. And this is a comedy film. I told you Mr. Smuggler get it. It is quite easy, actually. Get back to your book, John. Get back to your book. Now you're sitting there with a silly smile on your face. Come on, come on. All those Sunday nights between sort of the end of this month and the beginning of September, if you come in without your homework that first week, when we come back, you are in for it, sunshine. Anyway, there you go. It's a classic film. A comedy one. It's brilliant. When it's on, I'll always sit and watch it because it's brilliant. That is your that is your find the words question. Okay, guess the theme tune. This was it. Can still see the opening titles now. There he is. He's walking down the road at the big. Yeah, remember? Someone said, "Oh, I know that. Oh, what is it?" Yeah. Launched this gentleman's TV career. He's been in lots of things since, and a damn good actor too. So that is. Yeah, I already. Yeah, I can see it already. Got the TV question. Says Pat Galloway, does he? Right. So there's your theme tune. Let's go on to these two gentlemen here. Say Mrs. G has finally identified the man on the right, but can you identify both of them? I used to love Take Your Pick. They used to have the what used to call the yes and no game, bong and bong game. Absolutely brilliant. Can you remember the little guy that used to come on with a little gong? Used to come on with a little gong, and it was a little sort of little old man it was, and he was sharp as a button. You couldn't get past him. Weren't he brilliant, eh? Happy days when we used to make proper TV programmes and none of this screaming and shouting when somebody walks on. Yeah. Anyway, so there we go. Them two gentlemen there, and your anagram question: airdrops blindfolded traced. This is a local nature attraction. If you find the local village, you will then find the attraction. It's as simple as that, really. So I don't think I've ever been actually to it. It's not that far away from us. Okay. A local nature attraction, airdrops, blindfold trace, rearrange that, and then hopefully you will find yourself in the correct village, and then the rest will just follow. Trust me. They really, really will. Okay then. So let's get on with things this evening. One thing and another, which reminds me, a quick advert. We've got quite a few books now, and these are great books. And if you're interested, like I say, we did put them on the group. We've got loads more to post up soon. If there's any particular one you would like, a small donation will secure. But these are the hardbacks. But they're all local studies, and they're really, really great condition. If you're interested, let us know, because that's going to be really, really useful. So I'd much rather let the members have these books. Because we're running out of room again here at HDPP Towers. I can't store everything anymore, so I have to keep having a sort out every now and again. Please don't forget we're just over a month away from this event, Sunday, June the 16th. Yeah, I can't. That's rattling away, coming very, very soon. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a great afternoon in St Mary's Church. Come along, and trust me, for those people that have been before, they know how I do this. It's quick moving, really enjoyable. The tea and the cake are well worth it anyway. So come along, and all the proceeds will go to the church, because that's how we do it. Okay then. Late into the chat room this evening, I can see that Gary Betterley's just turned up. Oh, hello. Posted a picture of your two sisters the other day. Did you see it, Gary? No, he's not seen it. No. Anyway, welcome, Gary. Glad that you're here. Okay, then. Let's go on to one of our features first. Now, I do have here, I've got to make sure I press the right button in. Feature one. Can you remember on TV, those classic public information films? I think I've shown this all months and months and months ago. Let's show some more. Can you remember these? And look at the cars and the styles and the fashions.
Ever seen a driver blow in the bag? It's getting to be a far more familiar sight than it used to be. Over 2,000 drivers are breathalyzed every week.
Look at this chap. Had a marvelous time. Didn't think for 1 second. Now I'm not fit to drive. Then he makes a stupid mistake. Didn't think he'd ever be stopped and have to blow in the bag. We didn't consider himself a criminal. We'd only had a couple of drinks. But he'll lose his license. And unfortunately, his wife can't drive.
But he was one of the lucky ones. Last December, a quarter of all the drivers killed were known to be over the limit. Last year, there were nearly 40,000 convictions. Make sure you're not added to this year's total. Drinking and driving. It's just not worth it.
When a drunken driver gets his license back,
How much?
his insurance can often double.
What, for third party?
Disqualified. Drinking and driving.
He'll find it expensive wherever he goes.
It's more than I paid for the motor.
And the real joke is, although he's allowed to drive,
The best start to do, pal.
can he afford to?
I'll do you a favour. I'll buy the motor off you.
All these drink driving ones. Can you remember them? They're so well on the TV back in the day. Here's some more.
Most of us reckon we can handle our motors after a few pints. Take it easy and you don't attract the law. But what if some stupid git does this? Or this? Or this? Those few points will just cost you your license. So's the stupid git now.
And no pussyfooting about. They sort of put it straight to you back in the day. Not like today. They have to dress it up a bit. Here's another one.
Forget the car when you go for a drink, and you can also forget the well-meant advice.
Are you sure you're okay to drive?
Forget the self-denial.
No thanks, mate. I'm driving.
You can even forget being a free taxi service.
Just a favour. Give us a lift, mate.
But most important, you can forget this. So if you really want to enjoy a drink, remember, when you fancy a jar, forget the car.
And they continue with another one which you may very well remember.
Before you say you'll never get hurt. Well, every single day, hundreds of people say it can't happen to me, but it does. And the difference between an ugly smash-up and just a nasty shake-up could be simply the seatbelt habit. So before any of us say, it can't happen to me, snap into that seatbelt habit. You know it makes sense.
If you imagine this is your car, then this is a motorcycle. Now, when you drive up to a main road, it's easy to see other cars. But because a motorcycle is a third of the width of a car, he's very hard to see. But he's dead easy to hurt. Nasty. And that's why, at junctions, I'm asking you to give a second thought for bikes. Stop, think once for cars, hold it, then think again for bikes. If you want to avoid this, think once, think twice, think bike.
Absolutely. Remember thinking bike all the time. You remember the other one they used to do with an apple and a hammer? You said, this is what happens. They didn't mess about in them days. Like I say, they didn't dress it up. But they got the message across. Just a few of the classic public information films, road safety, and particularly drinking and driving. Don't do it, yes. As Russet says, clunk, click, every trip. In fact, I did notice, I thought, no seatbelts in some of these cars. Seatbelts didn't start being fitted till later on in the 60s. As you know, there's some cars they were never ever fitted with seatbelts. There we go. Anyway, I hope you're doing well with 6 of the best. Apparently, Dangerous Den's got them all but the theme tune. Dennis, stay away from that keyboard. Other people struggling, but we will go through them very, very shortly. Now then, I was wondering what we ought to do next, and I thought, I'm going to show you this little drama. Now, Pudding Bag Productions from Ashby, actually. But they've just done a little production all set in the church of Breedon on the Hill. And I thought, that's local enough. And I like their little dramas. We've featured them before. And they posted a new one literally just the other day. I thought, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play that one out for you. So sit back and enjoy this. I think it's about 80 minutes. Now, this gives you 18, not 80. This gives you a chance to work on 6 of the best and whatnot. See what you think to this lovely little production locally. I think it's good. Here we go. Sit back and enjoy. And we've still got a nosy to come. Always press the wrong button. It should be this one. Excuse me, Stratford Johns. Thank you.
The present church, which has been preceded by a minster, an Anglo-Saxon monastery from the 7th century, contains the largest collection and some of the finest examples of Anglo-Saxon sculptures.
Oh, it's you, Amy. I heard voices and I wondered who it could be.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just practicing.
Practicing?
There's a group coming in this morning for a tour, and it's the first time I've ever done one, so I'm a bit nervous. In fact, I'm terrified.
I'm sure you'll be fine. You'll be good.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much to remember.
Well, they can't expect you to remember everything.
Well, they will expect me to know everything.
Who are they anyway? U3A? WI? You know, they probably don't know anything, so you could almost make it up. But don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't know who they are. Apparently they just wrote a letter saying they wanted to come and see the church.
Wrote a letter? Oh, how quaint. What time are they due?
11 o'clock.
Oh, we've got lots of time. Look, it's a lovely day. Let's go for a stroll around the churchyard. It'll make you feel better.
I doubt it. But it must be better than hanging around in here for ages.
Not much has changed. Same old box pews.
Of course. What did you expect?
Well, one thing has changed. Our pew.
Your pew? What do you mean, your pew?
Well, there are bits missing.
It's an improvement, if you ask me.
I wasn't asking you, actually.
These clothes certainly aren't an improvement. Most unseemly.
Disgraceful, I'd call it. Women wearing trousers, indeed. If I'd dressed like this when I was a girl, I would have been locked up.
It certainly is very shameful to be seen out in things like this.
Oh, you're here? I thought there was to be 10 of us.
Some may have got lost. With all the changes around here, it's very confusing. I'll have a look outside.
And you, sir, what on earth have you got on? I told you all to wear modern-day dress.
So I have.
No. You're wearing the jacket of a First World War officer.
First World War? Never heard of it. I just pulled the first thing off the rack. Smart, I thought. Better than my usual gear.
Well, you'll have to take it off. Either that, or you'd give the game away. And you, sir, what do you look like? You've got your jacket on upside down.
How am I supposed to know how this thing works? You can't get the stuff, you know.
Oh, here, let me help you.
I found these two. dodging amongst the gravestones.
We were much afraid.
And ashamed to come into the church dressed like this. Yes, why I've been told to wear such outrageous garments.
Well, you see...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you'd arrived. Welcome to St Mary and St Hardolph's Church. I'm Amy, your guide. We are very pleased that you've decided to visit our church.
I thought it was my church.
Pardon? Oh, did someone say something?
Sounded like Hardolph.
What, sorry?
Nothing, dear. Just carry on. Look, we're looking forward to hearing what you've got to tell us.
Aren't we just?
Have you come from very far?
Yes and no, I suppose. It depends on how you look at it.
And does your group make a specialty of visiting old churches?
Oh, our group? Well, no. In fact, we've never actually met until today.
Oh, well, you are a newly formed group then.
Well, yes, you could say that.
So, let me begin by telling you that the history of this church goes back over 1,000 years. Let's start with these Anglo-Saxon sculptures. This one is a woman dressed in Byzantine style. Rather surprising, isn't it?
Is it?
Shh. This is known as the Breeden Angel. No one knows his real name.
They do? Of course they do. I do.
What?
Oh, shh. Look, stop interrupting the poor girl. Do go on, my dear.
This isn't the original, of course. That is safely put away up in the bell-ringing chamber.
I thought you looked a lot less worn than me.
So, how about showing us my pew and telling us about that?
Oh, I think we all know about that.
Oh, really? You've been here before, then?
Oh, yes. We've been here before.
Your pew. It was built in...
1627. I know. By Henry Shirley. That's me.
What?
Henry.
I'm Henry Shirley.
He means he's a descendant of Henry Shirley, dear.
You're a Shirley. Well, you should have said, we are most honoured to have you here, sir.
Then perhaps you could explain why some parts appear to be missing. Most unseemly.
Well, it's a bit of a strange pew. I doubt you could see the altar or hear the service.
Well, actually, that was the idea. We were Catholics, you see, we Shirleys. We were obliged to come here to avoid paying the fines. But in there, we could hide ourselves away and practice our own faith.
You were Catholics? Wasn't everybody?
I see you're a little weak in the field of history, sir. You remember Henry VIII and learning about him?
No.
Okay, well, he was a king at the time, and he turned all the Catholic churches into Protestant ones.
Yes, which is why this church is an Anglican one, although it would once have been Catholic.
Oh, I do apologise, dear. We seem to be doing your job for you. Do carry on.
The Shirley's room, perhaps?
Oh, yes, let's go and see that.
Well, this looks a bit different, isn't it?
Yes, it is rather unusual, isn't it?
No. I mean, it used to be painted, gilded and that.
Oh, yes, so I believe. So you knew that anyway? It was built in...
Oh, good God, girl, 1598. It was built in 1598 by my father.
Forefather. He means his forefather, dear.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, not really. I mean, this girl knows nothing. One would have thought they could have given us a better guide than this.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, now that she's gone, perhaps it can stop this ridiculous charade and reveal who we really are. Starting with me. I am, as I have already mentioned, Henry Shirley. The Henry Shirley. Sir Henry Shirley. Not some descendant or other.
And I am Frances Shirley, his mother. That's me, kneeling in prayer up there. And I gave birth to him in 1589. My eldest son, there he is, kneeling behind his father, Sir George.
As the eldest, I, of course, was always intended for greatness.
But you disgraced yourself more than once, I heard. Went to prison even.
Oh, Henry, surely you didn't humiliate the family after I died?
A mere misunderstanding, Mother, nothing more. So, let us move on. Who is next?
Oh, don't upset yourself, my dear. Henry was always a pompous and belligerent man. Why, he even upset the Earl of Huntingdon in his day.
Did he? I didn't know there was still an Earl of Huntingdon today.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Forget I said it. Don't worry.
Well, he certainly seems to know a lot about the church. I suppose you do too, do you?
Well, you could say that. I was an archaeologist. I took part in an excavation here. We uncovered some fascinating stuff, and it was clear that people had inhabited here before the 1st century BC.
Oh, well that must have been before I came here. I don't remember there being an excavation here.
Yes, dear, it would have been quite a while before you came. Now, dear, are you feeling a little bit better?
Yes, a little, but I don't want to go back in there and face them again. Thank you for being kind to me.
That's right, dear.
What's your name, by the way?
Oh, my name? Oh, well, I am Kathleen Kenyon.
Oh, Amy! Hello. Are they still here, our visitors? Or have they left already? Oh, how did it go?
Oh, it was awful, Susan.
Oh.
They were such a difficult group. But this lady's been very kind to me. Oh. Well, she was here a minute ago.
You know what? Maybe I should go in and have a word with them.
Oh, maybe. But I don't want to go and see them again. I couldn't bear it. I just want to get out of here.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll take another stroll around the churchyard. We'll leave them some time so they can wander around the church, and then I'll lead them out. Okay, so you come and tell me all about it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Right, so how have you all been getting on? Now you want to introduce yourself, so what have you done? Look, when I organised this visit, I made it quite clear that everyone should come in modern day clothes. And you hard off, don't keep appearing like that. We don't want these people to know who we really are.
Why not?
Well, they wouldn't understand and would most probably scare them to death.
Well, what happens if that girl comes back now?
I think that's very unlikely. Henry here really upset her.
Well, perhaps now we can find out who people really are. I am Elizabeth Cummins. I've never actually been to Breedon before today. I lived in London. My husband, Francis, he was born in Breedon. He left some money in his will to start the village school. I added to it when I died.
Well, I am... well, nobody really knows. And I've forgotten myself. I'm so very old, you see. Over 1,200 years.
People say you are the Virgin Mary.
Well, I could be, I suppose.
And why are you holding a book? Surely women don't read books.
Ah, my book. Yes, that's a secret I shall never reveal, I'm afraid.
Probably yet another thing she's forgotten. Silly old bat.
Henry, please don't be so unkind. And you, dear, what about you?
Well, I'm the breeding angel. That's my stone tablet you saw earlier. No one knows my real name, except me, and I'm keeping it a secret. Like Sir Hardolph here, a man of mystery.
Quite so. I was a king in ancient times, and later I became a saint, which is why this church is named after me.
Well, things have certainly changed since my time. I was the Bishop of Lincoln. I came here in 1441 on an inspection. It was an Augustine priory back then, but I knew some things were amiss. The priory was in a state of dilapidation, and the prior was in debt. I despaired of there being any improvement under his leadership, and I was right. But what actually happened?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Henry VIII, who was king in the early 16th century, broke with Rome, and he dissolved all the monasteries and religious houses, and Bredon was dissolved in 1539.
Yes, when my husband's family, the Shirleys, came here, it was in a terrible state. We wanted this as a burial place for our members of the family, and the villagers wanted it as a parish church. So in we all came, and most of the old buildings were torn down.
But Mary and I were saved and put up in the restored church here.
So I hope that makes things a little bit clearer now. And what about you, Margaret?
Oh, you wouldn't want to know about me.
I know who you are. Margaret Clifford, died 1785. Yeah, weren't you the mistress of his lordship up at Staunton Harold Hall?
Me? Absolutely not.
No, not you. The other one. Earl Ferrers. Probably related to you, though. Sounded like a right one. Shot his own steward, John Johnson. They hanged him for it.
And you are?
Me? Thomas Howe, engraver. I've done most of the headstones out there in the graveyard. If you look above the door, you'll see my initials. I've done some stuff in here and all. And I did this ladyship's tomb, gilded and painted it, 1839.
And didn't you steal the lead off the church roof?
Well, yeah, I've done that as well. Times were hard, family to feed.
And were you found out?
Oh, yeah. I did. We got 12 months hard labour for that.
Oh, I hope you learnt your lesson.
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, after I came out, I'd done a bit of painting as well as me engraving. But then in 54, right enough, I got done for stealing Mr. Joyce's hen. 4 years penal servitude. Bit harsh, I thought, stealing an hen.
Sounds like you deserved it. Prison is the right place for people like you.
But didn't you end up in prison more than once, Henry? Something to do with your feud with Lord Huntingdon?
That old fart. He never showed me any respect. Just because he lived in Ashby Castle and I only had Staunton Harold Hall, I should have had a peerage, you know.
Oh, dear. Look, this visit isn't turning out as I planned. Well, let's just leave. But make sure that no one sees you in those costumes.
Well, Amy, you've definitely had a baptism by fire. I've a good mind to go in there and give them a piece of my mind.
No, don't do that, Susan. It was that Henry Shirley that was the worst. The lady that sat with me out here was really kind. I think she was the organiser.
Oh, did you get her name?
Kathleen Kenyon.
No, that can't be right. Kathleen Kenyon was indeed a very famous archaeologist in her day, and she did work on an excavation here in Bredon, but that was just after the war. She died years ago. Maybe you misunderstood.
I suppose so. Something else I got wrong then.
Oh, shush. You know what they say? When you fall off a bike, you have to get straight back on it. Come on, let's go in and face them now.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes, but I'll be with you all the way. And I'm not afraid of any stuck-up Knowles. Come on, let's go in and see them. Come on. Come on. Oh, there's no one here. They must have left. Odd we didn't see them walking back to the car park, Amy. No, there's nobody here. They must have left.
Actually, I thought I saw someone at the corner of my eye, but I turned away quickly in case it was one of them. It was odd, but I could have sworn he was wearing some sort of old-fashioned costume, and he was shouting something. It sounded like I should have had a peerage.
Oh dear, Amy. These people have affected you more than I thought. Maybe we'll get somebody else to do the tours in future. You know, we're getting a new heritage officer. Rachel's her name. She can deal with these people in the future. Come on, let's go round.
I love how they bring history to life, and I think the Red River Company here in Hinckley do similar things, and they get a local historic character and bring them to life and put a story around it. I think it's brilliant. Daniel Coburn says, brilliant little production. It is, and I know, and that's right up your way, Daniel. If you've never been to Breedon Hill Church, it is very interesting. It's been a long time since I went, but fascinating, very old church, as you've seen a little bit there, but fantastic to have a visit. And Pudding Bug Productions by Wendy Freer there, like I say, we have featured their stuff before, and it's nice to be able to feature them again. And thank you, Wendy, for allowing us to show your videos here on HDPP. Right. Okie dokie. Right, how are you doing with Six of the Best? Before we go for our nosy tonight, we've got a nosy. Steve's in the chat room. If you want to have a chat with Steve, he's there. He's had a nosy. Maybe he's been round Breedon. I'm sure he probably has, you know. Right, Six of the Best. Let's go through it one more time. See how you're doing with the questions tonight. Question number 1. In the 1950s and early 60s, how many hosiery factories were there in the town? 104, 96, 89? You make your mind up. That is the question number 1. Question 2. Which fruit is the most popular and consumed worldwide? Yeah, there is one heck of a bit of fruit that takes the number 1 spot, as it were. What is it? We will find out very, very shortly. Moving on to question 3. Find the words if you fill the gaps in with your own letters. What will you find? You should find the name of a well-known comedy film, and it's often on the TV. It's always worth a watch. Absolutely brilliant. Some people already got it, I know, but have a go, see if you can find the words. And excuse me, he said, I'll guess the theme tune. Now remember, don't put your answers in there. Dennis, get away from your keyboard. Here comes the theme tune. Guess the theme tune. So, remember, you see him walking down the street, plodding away. But can you remember the TV show? Wow. It's getting to you now, isn't it? Yeah. That is our Guess the Theme tune from the 1980s. Very, very big at the time. Okay, question number 5. Name these 2 gentlemen you spent on our TV screens many yonks ago. Who are they? I nearly gave one of the names away then. Cool. So easy to go into that mode. Right, okay. Who are they, please? And finally, the Aniogram. Air drops blindfold and traced. It's a local nature attraction. Now, the secret to this is if you look for the local village in this, and then once you find the local village name, you'll be able to find the local nature attraction. You see, I'm helping you all the way, aren't I? That's your 6 of the best. We'll have the answers for you after we've had our nosy this evening. And Steve's just actually saying in the chat room that it's an incredible landmark and that is in the church and very unique to how it stands on that hill. Yes, it does. It really does. Absolutely amazing there. Thanks for that, Steve. And say keep on watching. There we go. Now, just before, there was something I was going to do. I wish I could remember what it was. I thought, I must remember to do that. But however, it'll come back to me before the end of the programme. If you've just joined us, and like I say, we do this every Sunday evening until the end of May. We're then going to have 3 months off from the live stream, and we'll bring it back in September. And then so we can keep you company through those dark winter nights. I know, but it's true. Another what? About another 5 weeks, and the nights will start joining. Don't I just cheer you up with everything? But it's true. Since we're getting to mid-June, and then all of a sudden it starts going the other way, you know. So we thought we'd give the live streams a rest. We'll still be meeting socially like we normally do, except in July. Remember, we'll have no social night in July because yours truly will be away on a bit of a holiday. All being well, yeah. John, you see another smug wave come over. Every now and again, you see, it's true. I sit here and all of a sudden you feel And John, I knew you'd come through. I knew you would. Just got the theme song. Used to watch it. You see, I just knew somehow he would know. Anyway, good. Well done, John. So, you see, all the questions have a good answer. How are your answers doing this evening? Hopefully you'll be able to give us all your answers after we've had our nosy. So Steve has been posting. We're 1 week behind on the noses, actually. So Steve's posted another one today. So that'll be screened next week. Our nosy this week, because Steve is getting all over the place. He's getting very high tech. Now he's got his mate that takes the drone up and stuff and whatnot. He's really getting very professional. I seriously think that Steve probably ought to have his own channel, one of these Roku channels. A friend of mine runs a Roku channel, by the way, if I'm here in Hinckley. And he's doing a live broadcast tonight at 9 o'clock. And I think, I might have a chance to go and see that in a bit. So we'll see how it works out. Steve, consider it, mate, I tell you. Lovely. Okay, off we go then for a nosy. Settle back. Nearly pressed the wrong button again. Settle back and enjoy this week's nosy with the man himself, the man that's getting hunkier by the week. Girls, have you noticed he's getting, you see what I mean? Check him out.
Hello, hey up and hey diddling. My name is Steve, and once again, it's a great big warm welcome from myself, so let's explore. Right then, as you can see, backed by popular demand, we've got everybody's favourite tribal elder, Mr. Delighted Dave. David, how we diddling?
Good morning, everyone.
There you go.
What a fantastic morning.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think finally summer is on the way, but what is it that bloke said to me once? Don't cast a clout until May's out. And on that bombshell, here he is. Everybody's favourite man of the cloth. Mr. Steve Follows, aka the pissed up priest, who is neither pissed up or a priest.
Well, I'm at home.
Yeah, he is at home today. Look at this. Now that's I don't know what the name of the church is, but we're in Newbold on Avon in North Warwickshire, near Rugby. And it's very interesting here because, I mean, we don't just hang about in cemeteries and graveyards, we're not that weird. But we've come to explore some of the Oxford Canal today. Now then, feast your eyes on this down here. Right, so just before we get over to the maps and show you exactly what we're doing today, I just want to show you this look before we go down there. I'm not going to go down to this tunnel portal via this area because, as you can see, they've been putting all the grass trimmings and everything here, and it's very soft and it's pretty much a sheer drop. But that is the original Newbold-on-Avon tunnel. And Dave and Steve have just got down the cutting by the sounds of it. Now, there's a good reason why this has all been blocked off. Obviously, the canal used to run through here, but there's a new tunnel which we're going to visit today. Now, there's a good reason for that, which I'll explain a little bit later. But anyway, let's get down there where Delighted Dave is and go on our butchers. Right, so just before we get into it today then, there's somebody I need to thank. Now, this person, I think, wants to remain anonymous because he got in touch with me on Instagram a few weeks back and he said to me, he says, there's the remains of an aqueduct near Brinklow on the Oxford Canal if you're interested, and it blew me mind a little bit, to be honest with you. So if he's watching, he'll know who he is, because I think he may have wanted to remain anonymous. Anyway, as you can see, courtesy of Google Earth, there is the United Kingdom, and if we zoom in on it, we'll come to a town called Rugby in North Warwickshire, which we went to the other week, didn't we, to explore some of the Great Central Railway. And when we were there, we actually explored a bit of the Oxford Canal. But it's Newbold-on-Avon, this place here, that concerns us today. Now, as you can see, just there, you've got the Church of St Botolph's. Now then, where the arrow's pointing, that's roughly where the portal of the old tunnel is, that I'll show you shortly. But if we go to the north of the village, there you can see the line, can't you? You can see the canal, then it stops. There's the new tunnel that was built in the 1830s. Now, what I love about Google Earth this day and age is I think it's amazing. They haven't done this with the whole of the UK, but certain areas they've mapped it in 3D. So if we press the 3D button, look at that. So amazing, isn't it, technology? So as you can see, you can clearly see the new Newbold tunnel there, where the trees stop and turn into arable land. Right then, so if we stop that and return to the north, what we are actually going to find today, is to the west. So after we've been to these tunnels, we're going to go up to a village known as Brinklow. Ah, there it is, I couldn't bloody find it then. Right, if we zoom in on Brinklow, on the Oxford Canal, you see that big embankment there? So that originally started life as a 12-arch aqueduct and each of these arches were 22 feet wide. Now, when this were built, it would have been a marvel. People would have come from miles around just to see boats flying above them in the sky, a bit like how we were amazed when the first aircraft went over our heads. I mean, we don't give a toss about it now, do we? It's like seeing a pigeon this day and age, seeing a Boeing going overhead. But buried within that embankment there is indeed the Brinklow Arches, or the Brinklow Aqueduct, that was designed by the great engineer James Brindley. Anyway, I'm not going to do too much yapping early on. Let's get on with it. Let's go and have a nosy. Right, let's go and have a look at the portal of this old tunnel. And as you can see, as we make our way through the gate, that there is the original line of the Oxford Canal. And of course, it went straight through here into the original Newbold tunnel. So let's get down here and our butchers. We can't go in the original tunnel, which is a shame. And this tunnel has actually been out of use since the 1830s. Now, James Brindley, who was the original engineer of this canal, he actually died before it was actually completed. But when he built it to a contour design. Now, what that actually means is that to do away with building so many embankments and digging out cuttings and boring tunnels, of course there were tunnels on the canal, but he did his best to get away with spending too much money on it. So he basically followed the lay of the land, if you like. And the canal itself, it goes all round the houses. And the investors of the Oxford Canal originally said to him when he designed it, why is this canal basically snaking around everywhere? And he says, well, I'm going to save you money on all things embankment-wise and cuttings-wise and tunnel-wise, but also if we visit all these villages, we can have, you know, wharfs and, you know, little branches, canal branches to these villages and make more of this. Well, in the 1830s, long after Brindley had died, I think it was Isambard Kingdom Brunel's dad, Mark Brunel, who was French actually, you know, him and someone else, I can't remember the name now, I'll write it on the screen just about here somewhere. They actually redesigned the canal and straightened it in places. And of course, doing away with this beautiful old tunnel here. But I'm going to shine my torch in there and see if I can see out. Right, let's just show you. In here, all the bells are ringing. Oh, wow. So that is the original Newbold Tunnel. Very old, as you can see, yeah, it has been filled in. Not far in, actually, so that's excellent, Steve. That torch is amazing. But this was designed then by James Brindley, this tunnel.
And it's in excellent condition by the looks of it.
It is in great condition. It was actually used, now bearing in mind, a boat hasn't been through here since the 1830s. And at some point in the past, there was a local farmer actually using this as a cowshed. Right, so courtesy of Subterranean Britannica, we've got this drawing here that's very useful of this area. And where the arrow's pointing, it does indeed say Old Tunnel there. That's the old Newbold Tunnel. Now, the dotted black line is indeed the old route of the canal. Now, you can see it used to be rather snaky. You know, this, like I mentioned, like I've already spoke to you about, Brindley built this using the contour method, but you know, they managed to shorten the canal by around about 10 or 11 miles in the 1830s. Now, that doesn't sound like a long way. It's not this day and age, but you imagine with how slow a process it was, pulling barges, you know, narrow boats with horses, that, you know, cut of 10 or 11 mile would have added quite a bit of time onto a journey. And the whole purpose of this canal in the first place was to get coal from the Coventry coalfields. That's why they joined the canal onto the Coventry Canal, onwards down to Oxford and then onto the Thames and then onwards to London. So that would have cut a lot of time off the journey, that 10 or 11 mile, meaning more profit as well, you imagine. I mean, they weren't going to go to all that expense, around about 171,000 quid in the end, actually doing all this work for nothing. Anyway, let's proceed. What we're going to do now, we're going to go round to the new Newbold Tunnel and actually walk through it. Now, this will be the first time I've actually walked through a canal tunnel, and this one's actually got a towpath going through, so they weren't doing what a lot of old canal tunnels did, where you had two blokes lying on the backs on the top of a boat, legging them through. You can actually walk through this one. There's a towpath, which I'm really looking forward to. There she is. Right, so here it is then, the glorious Newbold Tunnel, and of course built as part of the canal straightening programme. Now, it was possibly Mark Brunel and William Cubitt, two well-renowned engineers, that designed this, but I'm not certain. I know they had a big play and a big say in the Oxford Canal straightening, but it's a beautiful tunnel and the acoustics are absolutely amazing in here. Just listen to this in here. Hello! The other two are down the bottom, but it's absolutely amazing. You all right, mate? All I can hear is a massive echo, buddy. So this tunnel is quite wide, as you can see. It's much wider than the original Newbold tunnel that we've already shown you at the back of the churchyard there. But for good reason, because, as you can see, it's clearly big enough to take two narrowboats through it. Right, so we're just on the outskirts of a village called Brinklow in Warwickshire. Now, just down here, we've got a lovely footbridge here. Just down here, you've got this little waterway, this stream. This is the Smite Brook. Now, this actually flows through one of the arches of this aqueduct that we're going to go and have a look at, which is a short walk just over here. Now, as you can see, the tree line rises up. Now, that is because That is the Oxford Canal just over there. It's a big embankment. Now, when this aqueduct was built in the 1770s, it come in at a cost of around about 12,000 quid. Now, compared to today's money, that's around about £2.5 million. Now, bearing in mind, if we were to build anything like this in 2024, we wouldn't, would we? But if we did, it would be more than £2.5 million. But that's the purchasing power regarding the 1770s and today, of course. And here we are, I think. This is it. Now, originally, of course, there would have been none of this earth either side of here. Now, of course, this is culverting the Smite Brook. Look at that, Dave. Oh, yeah. Isn't that nice? So if we just freeze it there a sec, you see where the bore changes within the culvert? So I think that is where the original aqueduct was, where the bore goes narrower there. And of course, in the foreground, coming towards where I'm stood, that's the extended part from where they widened the canal. So I think then, this buttressed part here, this was probably built in the 1830s when the canal was widened. Now, on this side of the aqueduct, of course, we've got all this earth, and it's the same on the other side as well. But what they did, they dug a cutting out, and everything that came out of the cutting, it all, I think, was banked up either side of here, the spoil. But this was widened, of course. So you've got to remember, you know, when this was built, when Brindley designed it and they built it, this would have been a magnificent thing to come and gawp at if you were a local, and I imagine that it would have drawn quite a lot of people to come and see it, because you've got to remember, you know, this concept of, you know, having boats going over embankments and aqueducts, it was a new thing, you know, it hadn't been seen in this country, as far as we know anyway. But just through there, you can see one of the old arches, and I want to take you over there, because it might be quite interesting. Right, so I'm going to try and show you the original arches of this. We can't see an awful lot of them because, you know, they have been filled in with earth when they re-straightened the canal in the 1830s. But if we head down here, we may be able to see a couple. So they're actually going to use these arches in different ways. A couple of them were actually going to be for people to live in, although there's no actual proof that anyone actually lived in any of them. One or two of them were going to be stables. A couple of them were just going to be access points to walk through. One may have been a forge or something like that. And one would have been for a lengthsman to live in. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, what's a lengthsman? Well, basically, these canals, it's a bit like plate layers with railways. And a lengthsman would have been somebody that looked after the canal and maintained it. So if you had a weir system somewhere, because you've got to bear in mind, a canal, obviously you can't have too little water in it, because if that happens, then, well, boats are going to hit the bottom, aren't they? But then if there's too much water, they're going to overflow and cause severe damage to the surrounding farmland and, you know, to people's property potentially. So you'd have weirs on canals as well, and they'd have to keep those clear. But if you look at this here, look. Right, so amazingly then, thanks to my friend that got in touch with me on Instagram, he actually sent me this drawing as well. Now, this is one of them that if you zoom into it too much, it goes a bit fuzzy, so I'm not quite sure if it's an original plan of this aqueduct by James Brindley or not. But it's a great resource, because where the arrow's pointing now, that is indeed the one that we're about to go in. Now then, the one to the left is the one that takes the Smite Brook through. But as you can see, the embankments are either side. They would have been really big as well, but that would have been an incredible sight to look at, wouldn't it? Absolutely amazing. And this was built roughly 10 or 15 years after the Barton Aqueduct, which is on the Bridgewater Canal up in Manchester. Now, when Brindley designed that canal and the Barton Aqueduct, they were the first ones to be seen in Britain. Nobody had ever seen a boat going above them before. And if we look at this photograph now, we can see it, the Barton Aqueduct. This was just before it was demolished in 1893. Ain't that amazing? And what you've got here is a wonderful watercolour pen and ink drawing of Barton Aqueduct in 1793 by G.F. Yates. And this aqueduct actually opened in 1761, a good 10 or 15 years before the one that we're about to look at, because I'm not quite sure on the date, probably the 1770s, but the Oxford Canal did indeed open in stages over its 20-year construction period. But this is one of the original arches, a James Brindley designed arch. Now this one could have indeed actually been designed to be a dwelling. I mean, I really don't know. It'd have been a substantial sized dwelling, but can you just pass me your torch, Steve? I might be wrong here, but like I've said to you, this was widened, this canal. So to me, oh yeah, this is interesting. Look at this. So for me, this is the original width of Brinklow Aqueduct. So as you can see, what you're looking at now inside is the original width. And there's Mr. Follows right there. And as you can see, in the 1830s, they've added on this brickwork to cap the end of it. I mean, just look at that up there. They even made it a work of art, something that weren't going to be seen again. But yeah, this is definitely the outside of the original structure. You can tell with this stonework here, look. I mean, that's fantastic, that is. And this is, like I say, what you're looking at there is James Brindley's original structure. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I don't know how much more of this is actually visible. Probably not a lot, I'm imagining. Like I say, they've put an awful lot of earth back here, but I wasn't expecting to find what I actually found at the back of the aqueduct. I didn't actually think I'd actually see any of the original side of it, the other side. So to come across that bricked up area there, for me was actually quite exciting, to be honest with you. But oh, I feel like summer's like finally here. I mean, well, don't cast a clout till May's out and all that. But I'm probably not going to see a lot more, but if not, it don't matter. Right, so after stumbling about in the undergrowth, I've actually found another one. And there you go, there's another one. So there is a bit of a hole in there actually, but I'm not going to go in there. I'd just about squeeze in, I think, but it'd mean getting rather dirty, and I'm not doing that today. But all original brickwork, and they've banked up against it. I imagine it would have all been covered at one point, but because of weather over the decades and the century and what have you, it's washed it down a little bit. But we've indeed got an original red brick here that would have been part of all this. Very thick, very heavy. Oh, hello slugs and woodlouses, or lices, whatever you call you. But yeah, I mean, this could have been actually made locally. I mean, for all I know, they would have maybe had little clay pits along this canal and fetched it out, possibly. I mean, all the clay, I imagine, would have been sourced locally. They wouldn't have brought it from too far. That's usually how it happened anyway. And especially in the railway age as well, with the amount of bricks that were used in these civil engineering projects. So James Brindley then, he was born in 1716, and it was born in a very small village in Derbyshire known as Tunstead. Only a very small place, a hamlet really, even this day and age I think. But he was actually apprenticed to a millwright in the town of Leek in Staffordshire when he was very young, and very early on he showed quite a lot of intelligence when it came to actually doing things with his hands, you know, fixing things, fixing problems. And he was very knowledgeable in how to work with water, and actually built a lot of water mills early on, you know. Now then, the Duke of Bridgewater, up in the Manchester area of Worsley, he'd got mining interests, and he'd heard of this young man called Brindley and what he could do with water, and actually had a meeting with him. And it was Brindley that actually designed the Bridgewater Canal. And not long after that, of course, you know, the success of that canal had got people talking about Brindley, you know, and he designed the Coventry Canal as well, which this one, the Oxford Canal that we're looking at today, actually joins onto. And, you know, before long, he was actually building this canal. But he actually died in 1772, quite a few years before this was actually completed. So, a bit of a shame really. I think he was a bit of a workaholic. He was only in his 50s when he died. But apparently, he wasn't very good at explaining things, you know, and quite often he'd have to sit in front of, you know, a load of blokes in a boardroom, you know, investors and shareholders in projects like this one, and they'd ask him questions. And I don't know how they know this stuff, but apparently he used to really struggle with explaining himself. And what he used to do, apparently, he used to draw little diagrams to explain what he was doing. It must have been quite comical. And they must have thought it was a bit strange, but it got a good reputation, so they let him get on with it. So this is the culvert then, and they've actually I've actually spray-created the sides of it to offer it some good protection, but like Dave's just said, this end, it looks just like a railway tunnel. And, you know, to be fair, all these tunnels were constructed roughly the same. They knew it worked. They knew they were strong, didn't they? You know, typical big, you know, wing wall, blue engineering, brickwork, all over the Ocker. I mean, look at that. All to take a little brook through. In fact, we're quite lucky, really, because usually we don't even get a path, do we, where culverts are concerned. I think that's a first for me, an actual footpath going through. Alrighty then, well, unfortunately, that concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, this aqueduct here, I mean, if you didn't know this area very well, you'd just think that this was just another culvert, but it was indeed part, you know, of even more arches going down here. It must have been a sight to behold down here. Can you imagine in the 1770s when it opened, there'd have been hundreds of people down here watching boats up there that had never seen anything like it. This day and age, we're not bothered, are we? You know, we see a boat and then we see a Boeing up there. Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, we don't even think about it anymore, do we? But anyway, nice to have you chaps along as well.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing your drone footage as well, buddy.
Lovely morning. Lovely morning it's been.
Do you know what? It's so nice to feel the warmth of the sun on us backs. A lot of this nosiness we've done, I mean, we missed out on quite a bit of it in the winter, to be honest with you, because we just couldn't get anywhere, could we? Of how much water there was in places like this and what have you. But it's great to be out again. And I just hope, Dave, this is the start of something decent now, in terms of weather, because we've got so much. We were on about it in the car on the way down here. We've got so much to look at, but you know, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe and share. And me, Steve and Dave will be seeing you very soon at the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
There he goes. Another good one, Steve. I like that one. That was really, really good. There was one point when you was in that aqueduct, I thought, is that writing up there? But I don't think it was. But from the angle and the lights, it looked like writing, but I don't honestly think it was. But just a corner of my eye job, you know. But anyway, there we go. Lovely. Look at your comments, Steve. We're looking forward to having Steve with us in September as his annual visit to HDPP. Steve Picker and friends will be with us in September. That's when the live streams will all be back on again and all the rest of it. So, once again. Oh, look who's just come in. Carol, we've just been talking about you. We wondered where you'd been. Sorry, I'm late on parade. I've been out with my granddaughter. I'll have to catch up later. Well, we have missed you. I thought it was somebody else that fell out with us. Okay. Oh, Carol, look. Oh, Carol, I'm but a fool. It's time for your answers for 6 of the best. Now, wait a minute, Den. Wait. You see, Dennis is so quick. He can't wait to get the answers in. Now, remember, don't give me the answer to question 5 when we're only on question 2. Things like that. That's all I ask. That's all I ask you. So, with no further ado, let's go on with 6 of the best. And my first question to you this evening, a recycle question. I wondered if you'd remembered. In the 1950s and early 1960s, how many Osha factories were there in town? 104, 96 or 89? Dennis, you can post your answer now, and I shall tread water until all your answers start coming in. A little bit of a delay in the internet tonight, by the way. John said, I'm going to have to guess number 1. That sounds like an excuse coming, John. Go on then. You guess it. David Stamborough comes in. Yes, yeah. Well done. Oh, come in. Ooh, Jane says 89. The actual number is 96. 96 in the 60s, 50s and 60s. That's how many factories there were. Wish you now see who is right, shan't we? You're quite right, Alan. Okay. And Jeff Wallace having a guess with 96. If you put 96, well done. And that is the answer that we are looking for tonight. Look at Annabelle. She always likes to go the whole log and go 106. You would. Right. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, into question number 2. Which fruit is most popular and consumed worldwide? Now this, was it a trick question? Was it a trick question? We're going to find out in a minute. So let's see what people put first. Which fruit is the most popular and consumed worldwide? What could we worldwide that everybody would like? That's interesting. Let's just wait and see. I'm just waiting for the answers now. David Stamborough says bananas. Dave B, tomato. John Denny, bananas. Everyone's going bananas but, well, we do have some correct answers there. The correct answer is tomatoes. Well done. If you put tomatoes, well done. I would have gone bananas, quite literally, ladies and gentlemen. But we do have some intelligence out there, more than what I could do, that have gone for the tomato. Well done. If you've got tomatoes, yeah, you see, I would have gone apples and bananas. Definitely would, but you forget that the tomato is a fruit. Now, I had a chat with Mrs. G last night. I said, shall I put the options, like a multi-choice answer? And she said, no. She said, because if you put tomatoes, they'll rumble you. So I didn't want to be rumbled. So correct answer is tomato. Well done if you got that right. Okay, then. Yeah, now here we go. Tomatoes, not a fruit. It is a fruit. I just said that, John. Catch up. Honestly, will you get up on that? Get that bloody book done. Right, okay. That's the answer. So tomato, because tomato is a fruit. You've heard it here, as Mr. Nosey would say. Moving on. The comedy film. I know Mr. Nosey's got Mr. Nosey. I know Mr. Smuggler's got this right tonight. This comedy film, often on the TV. Dave B has got it right. Aha. Thank you, Carol Beasley, backing me up. Said, yes, it is, John. It's a tomato. It's a fruit, yes. Dave B. Let's see if anybody else gets this right before anybody else. But Dave B has come in with the right answer, and so is Jeff Wallace tonight. Every Which Way But Loose, starring Clint Eastwood and the orangutan. Right Turn Clyde. Yeah, well done. You're all coming in with it right. Well done. Every Which Way But Loose is the correct answer to that. Well done. Give yourselves a point. Yeah. Even Jan got that one. Well done, Jan. Well done. A great little film, saying it's often, and they did a follow-up film called Every Which Way You Can. But anyway, great film, and I love the Black Widow Hell's Angels in that. I think they play a brilliant part. I really, really do. Okay, on to question 4. Are you ready for this? I'm going to play it once. Here we come. Put your answers in now. What is the theme tune? This was very big in the 1980s. And I know you can put your answer in. Yeah, you're quite clear to put... Dennis, you can put the answer in. I know, because you haven't got this question, have you? So, the theme tune. Jane Brown comes in first. Shoestring. Correct. John Denny. Shoestring. Trevor Eve. Can you remember him? Yeah. So we were looking for Shoestring. That's what it were. It was Trevor Eve playing like an investigator at a radio station. Yeah, that's how I used to like it. It was good. So that was the theme tune. If you got Shoestring, well done, well done. See, Dave Blower had to go one step ahead. Dave, you are a naughty boy. Who are these two gentlemen then? Seeing that Dave B answered the question before we got to it. Why do people do that? Name these two gentlemen, please, from our TV screens of the 1960s and 1970s. Jan Kirby about Shoestring. Never liked him. Okay, Jan, all right. He speaks very highly of you, you know, but there you have it. Okay, then, here we go. Yes, well done, Dave B. He says, oh dear, I clicked too soon. The answer we're looking for, and David S. is first with it tonight, Michael Miles and Arthur Mullard. Yep, and as does Dennis Perkins, Jane Brown. David Stamper says, Huey Green, no, I say it's Michael Miles. But I totally know what you mean, though, David. As a little, and I used to get Huey Green and Michael Miles mixed up because they both one used to do Double Your Money, and one used to do Take Your Pick. But so I totally get you there, David. I know why you went with that. So there we go. Anne Hunt says Michael Miles, Arthur Mullard. Yeah, I mean, I used to love, like I said, the yes and no game. That were fantastic. We still play that here at home, you know, particularly when a couple of my brothers are around. We used to play that game 24 hours a day, literally. So we got used to never saying the two words because one of us would try and bong the other one out. Yeah, that's how we used to pass our time anyway. 1.5 for the crop, says Alan Crop, and that's before we got to the anagram. Ben and Jerry. Annabelle. Right, moving on. Here we go then. Airdrops blindfold traced. Rearrange that. You'll find a local nature attraction. You'll find the village and indeed the attraction. Jacob said, oh yes, Arthur Mullard. I knew his face. Couldn't remember his name. Yes, my dear. I had a hit with Hilda Baker in the 1970s when they were singing You're the One That I Want. Can you remember that? It was like, you know, rip-off of the song by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Yeah? Right, David S. says, no idea, brain not working. And Mr. Denny has come through with his smugness again. It washed all over us, as it did with Dennis Perkins and David Stamborough and Jane Brown. Tropical Birdland, Desford. I've never been. I know a lot of people have been, but there we go. Oh, Alan Crop's got to go for a lie down now. Well, okay, Alan, take it easy, take it easy. Daniel Coburn, correct, with Tropical Bird Garden, Desford. Let's have those scores. Let's have those scores. Why, Annabelle puts her drop blinds. Yeah, she's just strange. Right, let's have your scores then, ladies and gentlemen, before we round off this edition of our live stream this evening. Let's just see what scores we got. Those scores coming in so far. I don't think anyone's got 6 tonight. I think we might have a couple of 4s or a couple of 5. Right, Jan says I've got 2.5 for me. Only Jan can get 2.5. Yeah, okay. John Denny's got 5. Well done, John. The Starboroughs 3.5 tonight. That was, I can see why that. 3 tonight, says Jeff Wallace, and 2.5 for Dave B. Jane 4 tonight. Well done getting there. 3 for Daniel Coburn, 9 for Annabelle. Only she would get 9. There we go. And Carol says it's lovely at the Tropical Bird Gardens. I'm sure it is. Oh, not that sort of bird garden. Okay. A dangerous 4 for Dangerous Den. Well done. So it seems that Mr. Smugley is going to be there all night again. So I work at Myra. He'll be smug all night. Well done. Well done. And there we go. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. So let me just remind you one more time also about our sing-along. And it's just over a month away. Come along. I'd love to see you there. We have a great little, sort of about 50 minutes long. It's brilliant. Really good stuff. And don't forget our social night coming up at the end, well, on the 22nd, actually. A very good friend, well, I say good friend, a good associate of mine, Dave Andrews from BBC, Radio Leicester, etc., talking about his time working at the BBC. Lovely guy. And it was Dave that looked after me when I went to receive my BEM. Real nice guy, and I can promise you a nice little evening. So there we go. Queen Bee coming in with 4 tonight, by the way. Well done indeed. And if you missed the beginning of the programme, got some books there. Look, already somebody snapped up the Watling Street book. If you would like any of these hardback books, by the way, a very small donation will secure. These are in excellent condition, by the way. Right, okay, well, that's just about it from me. Next week is the penultimate last live stream of the season. So goodness knows what we'll be doing, but I know we'll have a nosy. We'll have 6 of the best, and I'm sure we'll be able to find some interesting stuff for you. Thank you very much for spending your time with us this evening, and I look forward to your company next Sunday. Take care until then. Keep it HDPP. Keep it live. Cheers. Bye-bye. Willow. Last little bit of the programme. We never talk about this bit. You know that if you hang on just a little bit, this comes on. I always like to partake in a few little dad jokes and stuff, or anything like that tickles my fancy. And my fancy has been tickled by a few out of this joke book this evening, and I thought you might like it. Now then, if you're ready, I think I've got about 4 for you tonight. Let me just get my little friend ready. Yeah, he's ready, right. If lawyers are disbarred and clergymen defrocked, doesn't it follow that electricians can be delighted, musicians denoted, models deposed, tree surgeons debarked, and dry cleaners depressed? Exactly. Exactly. Meanwhile, a radiologist and a surgeon were discussing a patient's x-rays. What on earth happened to this chap, said the radiologist. He fell out of a tree, said the surgeon. In heaven's name, what was he doing, asked the radiologist. Not sure, but his paperwork states he works for Mark's Expert Tree Pruning Service, said the surgeon. Gazing intently at the x-ray, the radiologist said, cross out expert. Two more. 2 young men with identical qualifications apply for the same job, and in order to determine which individual to hire, the manager gives them a written test. Both men score 9 out of 10 on the test. However, the manager decides to go with the first applicant. Why would you do that? Asked the rejected second applicant. We both got 9 questions correct. Well, says the manager, the other applicant wrote, I don't know for question 5, and you put down, neither do I. Finally, I lost my job as a psychic. I didn't see that coming. Take care. Good night.